So here's the first start on the JDM engine. Sounds horrific. Let's try something new. Okay, so we're back at it again finally. It's been probably a week since I've worked on the car. I've been waiting for parts to come in. So my power steering rack and pinion has been leaking. When I did the original head gaskets, there was just power steering fluid in the reservoir, and so I flushed that with automatic transmission fluid, which is what's supposed to be in there, and then it developed a leak in the rack and pinion. It was leaking out one of the boots, which means that the rack and pinion, one of the main seals, was leaking, and so I ordered a rebuild kit, and I was supposed to have it last Thursday. Today's Tuesday, so almost a week ago, and the company hadn't even shipped it yet. It was a really crappy eBay company, like, I don't even know, like JDM parts or something stupid. Anyway, so basically I just had to cancel that order, and I ordered a new rack and pinion. Well, not new. I ordered a rebuilt rack and pinion from Amazon, and it got here yesterday. So really poor quality packaging. This hole was ripped open, and then it had one of the tie rod ends sticking out, and it was uncovered. And so yeah, I'm not really expecting too much from this rack and pinion. First of all, because it's a rebuilt rack and pinion, I have no idea what kind of condition it's in general. But then, on top of that, it's packaged terribly for shipping. So, we'll see. Anyway, there's the new rack and pinion, or at least the rebuilt rack and pinion. I didn't want to go with the rebuilt unit because I have no idea what kind of condition the actual gears are in. But I could get this one faster than a rebuild kit, and it has new inner tie rods on it, which are nice and stiff. The inner tie rods on my original rack are pretty worn. They're not bad yet. They don't have any poor movement in them, but they're loose as. And then this one also has new bushings in it, which is another plus. So I'm just gonna throw this new one in, be done with it. Except that this is not the right rack and pinion. That's pretty annoying. Okay, so here are the two rack and pinions. Obviously, you can tell which one's the new one. Well, the rebuilt one, and which one is my original. Yeah, I'll be able to switch my lines over onto this one. But whatever, it'll work. So that's all I'm too concerned with. I'll be able to make it work. Yeah, so once I get this all dealt with, we'll be able to... You can't even see them anymore. Anyway, I'll be able to throw in my new engine in my empty engine bay. I've been holding off on putting the new engine in until I can get the power steering rack in, mostly just because it's a little bit easier to get to all the lines and everything when there's no engine there. So I do need to go ahead and spray my cross member. It had a couple of scratches and a couple of spots where it was starting to rust, and I figured while the engine's out, that's the perfect time to deal with it. So I'm doing that as well. It's chilly today, which I was not planning on. All last week it was pretty warm, and today it's back down into like the upper 30s. So I might have some issues with paint drying and curing, but there's nothing else I can do, so I'm just going for it. And oh man, yeah, that I'm just going for it. Right, so I got the new rack in and bolted up. I still need to adjust the tie rods. Down in there you can at least see the shiny new bolt there. But yeah, need to adjust those. I'm gonna put the tires on and do my best to get them adjusted. That one's not even on, it's just hanging off, as you can see. But I'm gonna do my best to get it right so it'll chooch how it's supposed to. I'm going to go ahead and attach these hard lines that are hanging out up above, and then I will be ready to drop the engine in. So, making progress. If I can focus. Okay, so here is this is the original, the OE thermostat. It's really nice. And this is the Stant thermostat that I got to put in it. And that's a freaking joke. That's freaking tiny. I mean, it would fit, but holy crap. I mean, this one can't be the right one. It doesn't even have one of these little guys in it. I don't know. That's just kind of a joke. It's not offset or anything. This can't be the right one. I think they sent me the wrong one. They have to have, because this thing's a monster compared to that. Anyway, check your parts before you put them on, eh? And really, check your parts when you get them in the mail, because I think it's been too long for me to return this one. I think it was only like $4, but I don't even know what it's for. So check your parts when you get them. Make sure you got the right thing, because that's retarded. I'm just going to put this guy back in. Alright, so things are continuing to move forward throughout today. When I had the engine up, getting everything put on it, I did notice a couple of spots that looked like they might be seeping a little bit of oil. Not that there's a major oil leak on the oil pan, but I figure it's off. And it's really easy to get to right now. So I went ahead and pulled it off and cleaned off all the RTV. And I even painted it to match. So that's what I'm doing. I do have a RTV episode up showing you the best ways to remove RTV. Basically, I won't tell you, but I do have one caveat to that. The roll-lock disc on steel works fantastic. So in that episode, I was only working on getting RTV off of aluminum, and the roll-lock disc didn't work too well on aluminum, but it works a whole heck of a lot better on steel, because you can go and jam it on pretty freaking hard, and you don't really have to worry too much about it scratching up the surface of the steel. With the, obviously, the least abrasive disc, so the white one. Perfectly degreasing the surfaces. I did go ahead and take this one inside as well and wash it off and scrape it, or I guess scrub it down with a brass brush. So I think we're getting really close to putting it back on. I'm just prepping the surfaces. The oil pan is always kind of more difficult because it's got oil that just kind of leaks down from all over the place. But I'm using that quick dry stuff now, so hopefully that makes it better. I know I'm getting a phone call. Hopefully this is my new job. Yep. Here we go. I think the engine's ready to go in. I'm just waiting on a couple of parts to dry that I've painted. These had some paint that was chipping on them. And this one was kind of bent out of shape. I didn't want to just go ahead and... I suppose I could have just grabbed my other one from the other engine, but I went ahead and just bent that back into shape. You can kind of tell that it's a little wonky, but it'll chooch, so I sprayed it. Didn't let it cure completely, but mostly I just sprayed them again just so that I could make sure they're good and rust prevented. I got this little tray deal back up underneath and bolted on. Everything underneath is bolted on. I got all my water lines back on. Over here, the engine mounts have that plate that goes up underneath, and they were super rusty, and so I used that guy and cleaned them off and got them all nice looking. I just have one more coat on them, but I don't know if you'll be able to see anything. It's pretty freaking bright out here. And then I went ahead and those are the fuel rail covers on the H6. I scuffed them up and sprayed them new black again. Mostly for rust prevention, but I figure those look pretty good when they're nice and shiny and black, and so I took the time to do it right. So, painting all the little things. Like you can see, I painted this water line. Painted that guy. Basically, I'm just taking care of anything that looks a little bit rusty and spraying it. In here, I went ahead and sprayed it with a satin. It got kind of runny, and so there's a couple of runs, but I don't really care. It's underneath the engine, and mostly, again, this is for rust prevention, and that's like a, it's not Rust-Oleum, it's the Walmart Jank brand of Rust-Oleum, but it'll do the job. It looks good, and yeah. So now I'm really just waiting for those motor mount plates to get dry, so that I can slap them on and throw it in the car, because that's all that's left. So I'm going to go ahead and move this thing over, get it positioned where I want it. I'm expecting to have to do a bit of honky-tonk with the transmission, and so I have my floor jack up underneath so I can jack up the center differential and kind of lift it up, because I did undo my dog bone. It'll focus, and that has let the transmission drop a little bit, and there you can't even rotate the torque converter because the transmission is so low that the torque converter will just scrape up the cross member. So that's what we're doing now. I have everything plugged in, all the sensors plugged in. I went ahead and used my dielectric grease on everything. So everything should have a really good connection. My fuel rails are back on. Even these guys are kind of snapped in place. This is my original harness, and I know everything works. There were 3 coils that had the actual little piece of plastic that clips in. The clip was busted off. Let's see if you can see that. So that's something to be aware of, because I didn't even realize that. There you can see it's busted off right in the center of that. All 3 of them are like that. So I grabbed 3 of my originals and threw them in. There was like 1 on this side and 2 on the other side. But yeah, it's all set and ready to get plugged in. And I'm assuming it's going to be a bit of a pain to fandangle this thingy in by myself. I mean, that's always usually the biggest pain, is getting the bell housing back on the engine. but we'll see. I have the crane set up a little bit better, so instead of running off of this hoist point, I went ahead and stuck my chain onto the AC compressor main bolt, and then down here where you would plug in, I guess where I will bolt in my power steering pump, and then I have it centered so that that's about level. So this side of the engine is slightly higher than this side, but that's just about that much difference. So if I can get that to rock over onto this half of that link, I'll be able to be good. You can't see jack because it's not focusing for me, but you get the picture. Anyway, so I thought that through and made sure that my engine would cooperate, and it is on the front half, so the back half is drooping, so that should help being able to line up the studs, because those two studs sticking out are what have to mount and initially go in those hoop-de-doos. So yeah, I think I have done everything correctly, and now it's to the point where I'm gonna just throw it in. My workspace has freaking destroyed itself. I got my intake manifold over here all nice and shiny. I have a couple of code readers underneath it, sandpaper out, a Dremel toolbox out, freaking the starter, a heat gun, all kinds of cooling lines. Over here I got the other intake manifold. This table that I was using for my timing components is turned into a RTV scraping station and general garbage area. Oh, even over here is looking like terrible because this is where I've been spraying everything off. Now I had this stuff laying around, this prep spray. Duplicolor paint always smells really fruity. It's kind of weird. I don't really like it, but it's kind of fruity. Anyway, yeah, I'm just wasting time now. This is about the same angle you had when I pulled it out. You can check that video out up there because it's a good one where I almost die. Okay, this is gonna be tricky. The transmission has a dowel pin stuck in it, and so there's the dowel pin on the engine that can't go into the dowel pin on the transmission because there's already a dowel pin in the transmission. That made sense. I just forgot to say hole somewhere. So this is coming out. Let me see if I can rock that torque converter back in there. Hate torque converters. Okay. Right there, that rusty piece of crap is stopping me from getting my beautiful engine in the car. In the car. Yeah, there we go. Didn't hear it hit the ground, but at this point, don't care. There we go. There we go. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. If you slow that down and replay it, you'll be able to hear the 3 clicks. The click, all at once. Oh, gotta love. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Nobody wants to see my neck that bad. Okay, so take 2. Took a break. Mostly I had to just go get a new battery for this camera Machina. Because it was cutting out on me. So, fingers crossed that it just drops in like it did last time, as easily as it did last time. I'm pretty sure it will, because if that dumb dowel pin stuck in the transmission wouldn't have been there, pretty sure this thing would have put itself in. So let's just jam it in there. Thunk. You're not even seeing any of this. I'm sorry. Anyway, I'm not. I don't really care. It's round 2. You already saw all that part. All you guys are waiting for is the magic pop, right? The big one. Let's pull out. Yeah, anyway. Put down just that much. I'm really amazed with how easy this engine is to get in. With how huge it is, it honestly just wants to go together. She's tired of not having a heart in her. Let's do the old one too. Okay. That's as easy as it gets. I think. You guys are getting in the way of me. Well, the other side's back on again. Super easy. This side's still having a goofy time about it, but whammo. I just hit it. Woohoo! No gap. That's what I'm talking about. That is seriously the easiest motor install I have ever done. Dang. Nah, because I've done this on an automatic. My Legacy GT. The first time, well, when I did the head gaskets on it, we pulled it. And getting it back in was a bit of a chore, even with 2 people doing it. So, yeah. +1 for the H6. I mean, plus like way more than 1, because I love this thing so much. These are such good engines, especially the R. VTEC, yo. Variable valve timing is considerably more awesome than a non-variable valve timing H6, even though they're both pretty rad. So now it's just buttoning up the last bitsies and getting the flex plate torqued to the torque converter, getting the engine torqued to the bell housing, getting my starter on, motor mounts bolted into the cross member, exhaust manifold on, intake manifold on, power steering pump. I might go ahead and just swap out my whatever you want to call this guy, my air conditioning condenser, because I don't know how much oil is in this one, and I know there's enough oil in the other one. So yeah, now it's all the little boring tiny bits and getting it all back together. Engine's in though. Well, I'm gonna take a little break. My gloves are pretty torn up, and that's usually a good indication that it's time to take a break. Anyway, here we are. Here's where we're at. We're getting down to the nitpicky bits. And so I have all of the accessories on. I need to still plumb the power steering and the AC, but I have the belt on. Everything is torqued. My water line that runs underneath the intake manifold is on. I have all the knock sensors and everything plugged in. Everything's grounded. My starter is plugged in, and so is the main ground strap from the negative battery terminal. I got those connectors plugged in. My alternator harness plugged in. All of the bell housing bolts torqued, even the ones up underneath. I got those ones fairly easy this time. The engine, I think I bent that piece underneath, that kind of sits up underneath. It's like the dust shield for the what do you call it? The flex plate. I think that bent when I was putting it back in the second time, because it sounds horrific. So I'm kind of worried about that. I don't know. It's stupid that you can't see it. You can't even get to it from underneath because it sits right up against the engine and the cross member. So I'm kind of hoping it'll just kind of wear itself out. As bad as that is to say, we'll see. I'm pretty sure I have everything connected now. Before I had everything up underneath on, I pulled the fuel pump fuse and went ahead and turned it over as I was cranking the wheel back and forth, just to kind of circulate some of that power steering fluid, the ATF through the system. I'm hoping that has helped a bit, but we'll see. So here's the first start on the JDM engine. So that terrible noise is that underpiece flinging the dang, what's it called? That shroud piece on the, oh, what do you call it? On the flex plate and torque converter. Sounds terrible, but I'm hoping it'll eat itself off, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Sounds horrific. Let's try something new. Okay, so here we are. Finished up. I still need to put the hood induction plastic on, and bolt the battery in, but the battery hold down was pretty rusty, so I brushed it off, and it has some rust treatment stuff drying on it right now, and then I'll spray it black. I guess I still have these guys. They look really nice. I'm kind of debating on whether or not if I'm gonna put them in or not. We'll see, because I mean I like the look of the engine bay without them, and it makes it easier to get to things, but I think it kind of shields some of the connectors and things from heat, possibly. I don't exactly know what they're for. They do protect the fuel rails, which is good, but I don't know how necessary they are. Anyway. I let it run for a while. There's no codes, which is nice. But I let it run for a while. 4 cycles of the fan coming on and off, and I'm pretty sure I got all of the air out of it. And I just there we are. Well, I forgot what I was saying. Yeah, so I just kind of let it run with that noise. And it kind of rubbed itself away. It was just that little piece of metal, and it's still slightly loud, but from inside you can't tell. And now, even from outside, it sounds fairly quiet. There's still a very, very slight tick coming from the back of the engine. Once it cools down again, I'll get my hand up in there and see if I can do anything about it. But yeah, I'm happy with the results. I also did my toe alignment by eye, and it looks pretty good. Oh, that one doesn't anymore. Maybe I turned the steering wheel. Anyway, obviously oh, yeah. Well, the other side is out then, because the steering wheel's off slightly. So I'm probably a degree out. I might mess with it one more time. That one looks pretty good. But I'm planning on getting an alignment on it anyway. Because I mean, I think it kind of needed one beforehand as well, and I know it's going to be about a degree off between the two. So yeah, this one looks like it's pointed in very, very, very slightly, just like needs maybe half a turn to pop it out. So I might go ahead and do that. But yeah, this engine is super smooth. Really happy with it. I need to put the grill on, and then just clean up my terribly messy garage and kind of consolidate everything onto this pallet. Again, if you want to purchase this, drop a comment below, or find me. You can email me at dirtcheapdaily@gmail.com. But otherwise, I'm posting that on eBay. I figured eBay is going to be the most widespread place. Yeah, I don't really have much else. There was something else I needed to do, and I can't remember what it is anymore. Oh, yeah, so I had one more major mess up that I didn't realize. I've never had a car that had hand controls on, like steering wheel controls, and when I had the power steering rack out, the wheel kind of flopped over onto one side, and then I guess I must have turned it around a full revolution. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that you can only turn that thing so much, and I'm pretty sure I stripped out the wires on the volume and the radio controls on the steering wheel. Because they don't do anything anymore, and my horn doesn't work, and I have an airbag light on. So I'm pretty sure I screwed over the wires that run to the steering wheel. We'll kind of see how big of a mess up that was. I'm hoping it wasn't too bad, but that's next on the list, which I'm probably going to tackle today because I'm starting my new job. I start my new job on Monday. It's currently Wednesday, and I'm going to need 2 cars next week. So, I mean, this one is good to go. I do need to take it in and get the alignment done. That's not a big deal. I'd really like for the hand controls to work, because that was one of the biggest, nicest things about this car. Not the nicest, but it was one of the really nice things to have hand controls for the radio on this one. And also I want my airbag to work. So, got to pull that apart and check some things out. I'll look up some YouTube videos on how to take the steering wheel off on these, because I haven't ever taken one off with hand controls. So, yeah, that was major. My bad. I didn't even think of it. Like, again, I've never had a whole bunch of wires running to the steering wheel. But I guess the only time I've had my rack and pinion taken off is on a car that didn't have any kind of anything. It was on an old Bug. So, but learned my lesson, never gonna have that happen again. And I'm hoping my steering rack doesn't leak. My power steering pump is quiet, and I bled it correctly, so everything, all is well. I do need to pressurize my AC system, and I think I might buy a vacuum pump and the gauges and do that correctly and evaporate all the water out of it, because the condenser's been sitting for a long time. So that's probably the route I'm going to go, because I've needed those gauges and a vacuum pump 3 or 4 times, and I've just never done it. And so I think I'm going to drop the money and actually get it this time, because I need it. Anyway, that's it for today. There it is, running. Super happy with that engine. Super happy with the engine and everything besides the steering wheel. Hit the subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, and yeah, keep it dirt cheap.